What's good, everybody? I want to jump on here real quick and talk a little bit about, without question, the most favorite, the most loved player that represents the silver and black better than anybody on the roster and anybody probably in the recent years, which is Maxx Crosby. Reports have come out that he's dealing with a knee issue that could potentially be serious, and I think it's something that I definitely want to talk about and address. Um, but usually I'll come on here and kind of throw out a situation or a scenario, give you my opinion, ask for yours. But in this one, I'm going to do it a little bit different. I really just want to know what your opinion is. And before I do, again, I usually ask, hey, like, subscribe, and do all that craziness. But this time, what I want is I haven't been doing this content thing very long, but in the recent weeks, I've been getting thousands of views, and I appreciate every single one of you. And I want to take this opportunity to ask each and every one of you, if you could, let's show Maxx Crosby a little bit of love, as much as the silver and black can. Let him know that we're behind him and that we want him to get healthy as soon as possible. So if you could, in the comments down below, just comment Mad Max. Just flood the comments with Mad Max and show him that the silver and black and the Raider Nation are behind him. So let's kind of get into it. If you haven't heard already, Maxx Crosby last week was basically on the injury list all week long. It started out with a knee injury. That's what it was listed as. And then reports came out that he was sick, and it was going to be basically a game day decision whether or not he was going to play. Well, the real reports came out earlier today, and basically the knee injury was true and the sickness was true. And basically what happened is, and I think where the injury actually stems from is a game prior. There was a situation when we played the Chicago Bears. He got cut down, and that might have started the injury. I know that, I don't know if it was that week, but it was a couple weeks after the Chicago game. He did sit out a couple practices. And now look, it's serious because Maxx Crosby doesn't miss games. Point blank and simple. He doesn't miss. And this would have been his first game. And you knew if he would have missed this game, it would have been huge because he would not miss an opportunity to get after Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. But, basically his knee ballooned up, had a ton of swelling, had to basically go get it drained. But when doing so, the doctors did find some bacteria in the fluid, which caused him to feel ill. He came out on his own podcast, or I think an interview that he did, basically saying that he felt like hell. And so he was battling through it. And even through all that, he still had to prove to the team doctors and everybody that he was prepared to play, that he still could play. And he did. But unfortunately, and you could tell during the game, that he just wasn't the same Maxx Crosby. There was multiple plays that I saw that you could just see the motor wasn't there, or, he wasn't bending the way he could. One of the plays that I knew something was not looking right was, I believe it was on the second or the first, I forget, the touchdown that Isaiah Pacheco had. And usually you would see Maxx Crosby on a run play that's going downhill. He would bend that corner hard and actually have a chance of coming up behind the running back and making the play at the line of scrimmage. That's textbook for him. That's what he does. That's a staple of his. And you could just tell he didn't have the burst. He didn't have the bend. He just didn't have that ability to kind of avoid those blockers. And you knew something was up. And then towards the tail end of the game, Antonio Pierce basically took him out of the game, which you knew something had to been up in order for Antonio Pierce to take him out for a series or two. And I think Maxx Crosby actually re-entered the game, but for AP to make the decision to sit him, AP is going to be a player-first guy. So he's going to make sure that the health and safety of the player comes first before anything. And so when he took Maxx Crosby out, I think we all knew something was up. And then there was a report that basically has stated that Maxx Crosby is going to have to address this knee situation in the offseason, whether it's surgery, whether it's rehabbing the injury that's occurring. But no matter what it is, if you know going into the offseason you're going to have to rehab something, or you're going to have to address an injury, that's tough. Now, all these players get hurt, right? There's going to be injuries that they have to address in the offseason. But the tough part is a major joint like the knee can be a tough one. So one of the things that I want to come on here and ask, and this is going to be basically my main question, is knowing our situation right now, we have basically about a 1% chance of making the playoffs. We need to win out, and we need other teams to help us out, basically by losing, right? There's a couple teams that we need them to lose that we actually face. We face the Broncos. We need them to lose. We face the Colts. We need them to lose. So, it's a long shot. It's about a 1% chance of us making the playoffs. We need to win out. We need a lot of other things to happen for us to have a chance. So my question is, and, let me know in the comments, do you think if Maxx Crosby's injury is pretty substantial, should he sit or should he play the rest of the season? Put an S if you think he should sit. Put a P if you think he should play the rest of the season. My biggest thing is we do need to watch out for Maxx Crosby's health. It's got to be health first. He has to be a player for the silver and black, for the Raiders, for the next 6-7 years. We need a solid Maxx Crosby for the rest of his career. And with the situation right now, the playoffs, it's a long shot. I never want to say it's not possible. I never want to say just sit it down and basically give up. I'll never say that. If we have a chance, we got to fight for it. But when it comes to the health and potential long-term health of a player, I will look at that first over the situation that we're currently in. So again, let me know in the comments below what you think, whether or not Maxx Crosby should sit the rest of the season or play. And now let's look at what happens, right? If Maxx Crosby decides to sit, how does that affect us? And there's never a positive aspect to a guy like Maxx Crosby, a player of Maxx Crosby's caliber sitting. There's never a positive. But the one thing I will say is if Maxx Crosby does decide to sit, then there's one thing that we can potentially do to evaluate some talent for next year going into the offseason. So one thing is our rookie Tyree Wilson. It's going to increase his playing time. We don't have a lot of depth on the defensive end spot or the edge spot. We will most likely elevate someone from the practice squad, might sign somebody, but because if Maxx Crosby does sit out, he will most likely go on the IR, which ends the season. Now, we need to know what Tyree Wilson has, and give him the opportunity to probably play 100% of the snaps, and then you would have Malcolm Koonce on the other end. And I think that us giving Tyree Wilson as much playing time as possible to really see what this kid has. I did a video a couple of weeks ago whether or not he's a bust, right? And I don't think he's a bust. You can't say he's a bust. Now, I'm not seeing a lot of positive things. I'm not seeing much that's promising. But I think we need to give this kid as much opportunity to show us what he has. And on the flip side, I think it would give Malcolm Koonce a lot of playing time. Malcolm Koonce is one player that, again, when we drafted him, I knew he was out there. He was from Buffalo. Everybody was talking about, because I think he wore number 52, just like Khalil Mack did. Khalil Mack was from Buffalo, so there was a lot of talk about him. Now, I didn't know much about the kid, to be honest with you, when he came out of Buffalo. But what this kid has shown is he has promise. I think that's another player that could really show us a lot. And the reason why I'd like to see both these guys on the field, again, that's if Maxx Crosby is going to look out for his health, number one, and has to sit. I would love to see what these kids both these players can do between Tyree Wilson and Malcolm Kuntz. Because if for some reason Patrick Graham and Antonio Pierce are no longer here, because again, their jobs aren't guaranteed. If they're no longer here, that means a new regime is going to come in. And when a new regime comes in, they want their guys. And Tyree Wilson, Malcolm Kuntz may not be on that list. And I want to see if these guys have what it takes to produce at a high level in the National Football League. And we got to know. And so if Maxx Crosby decides to sit, it might give us the opportunity to really see what Malcolm Kuntz and Tyree Wilson can do. It'll give us a full dose these last 5 games. Now the cons to it, though, we still need to win out. We still need to win out in order to have any shot at the playoffs. And again, look out for my video. I'm going to do a kind of a breakdown of the AFC West situation, well, the AFC as a whole, but specifically our division and what's our pathway to the playoffs. But the con that I see, and you saw it against the Chiefs, and I stated it in my instant reaction video after the game against the Chiefs last Sunday, was you saw how Patrick Graham had to kind of adjust the defense once he knew Maxx Crosby was not going to be the player he typically is. And I think that's what kind of aided in him switching from going to a very aggressive, kind of in your face, our corners, our safeties were up in the receivers' faces. They were jamming, playing man to man. And then all of a sudden we started to play this soft zone. We started to back off. And I don't know if it was because Patrick Graham thought that we were going to struggle to get to Patrick Mahomes. So we needed to back off a little bit. We needed to, give a little bit of space, because when you can't get to the quarterback, it allows those receivers to kind of get deep into the secondary. And sometimes you have to play a little bit softer, lay off a little bit. I'm not saying I agree with what Patrick Graham did, but I think that's probably what aided in him switching up defensively, really kind of towards the tail end of that second quarter. And so if Maxx Crosby doesn't play, I fear that we might start to see that same type of defense or that same type of strategy, to where if Patrick Graham doesn't think we can get to the quarterback, I'm not sure if he's going to bring pressure to offset that. Or at least, if he thinks we can't bring or get to the quarterback with a front four, right? If by just coming at you with our front four, if he doesn't think we can get there, I don't know if he's going to, mix it up a little bit, bring some linebackers, bring, some corners, bring the safeties down, play a little more aggressive. I don't know if he'll do that. But what I saw against Kansas City and what I felt was when he knew Maxx Crosby wasn't 100% and he knew he wasn't going to be able to get to Patrick Mahomes as quick and as often as he'd like, I think he started to kind of back off. So I think that's definitely a downside of Patrick Graham's system if we don't see Maxx Crosby for the rest of the season. So I just want to jump on here, guys, and kind of give you my take on what's going on. And again, if you do anything, comment Mad Max in the comment section down below. Show him the support. Again, I'm getting thousands of people over the recent weeks viewing these videos, and I want to show him as much support as possible, because the Silver and Black and Raider Nation, we are behind him, and we got to show it. So I appreciate you guys. I know we're in our bio week, so keep checking back in. I'm going to be posting multiple videos through this week and next week to occupy you guys, and I'll give you any update through these next couple of weeks if we bring on any more players to fill the 2 roster spots that are currently open. If there's more news on Maxx Crosby and his situation with his knee, I'll drop videos when I get some news. All right, guys, I appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day, or great rest of your week, and I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm out.